All right. Let's get it started. Let's get it started. Thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe, family. Like, share, and subscribe. Getting our video here ready. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Chat in the chat room for me. No phone calls today, so just chat in the chat for me. Thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Oh man. Oh yeah, the family is gonna be mad at me today because we got an interesting topic today. So yes, the family is gonna be upset with me tonight, but it's a much needed and important discussion. Okay, and of course, it's a much needed scrutinized and analytical um, evaluation of so-called black leaders or black servants of black people, whatever you want to call it. Okay. So thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. The cash app hit us up is $ lawyer Henderson 40. Like, share, and subscribe. Now everybody know that of course on the side I do films and I do independent movies. We got a movie called David and Michaela. So I've been in Los Angeles and just came back from LA, had a real nice time, got an opportunity to meet some interesting people in the music industry, the film industry. I meet no celebrities, but I met a lot of people who were in the film business, the independent film business in which I am in. And that was, and also music, you always get your music people there, you know. But I just came back from Los Angeles, got an opportunity to visit a bookstore. Also went to the beach, had fun on the beach. Um, Also promoting my ebook, Daviana Michaela, and then of course my political book, Foolish American Politics. So I was in LA just turning up all the way around. Okay. In Los Angeles, turning up all the way up. Thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe, family. Um, yeah, but we're gonna be talking about today is very important. We're talking about today black leaders or black servants that basically got the black community invested in them. They got money, getting money from the black community. Is it pocket watching, or is it holding that person responsible? That holding that black servant or leader, whatever you want to call it, responsible. Okay, and we're going to be touching on that. But before we do that, I want to talk about an interesting story that's coming out here in Georgia, in the city that we're in. Well, not the city that we're in, but the same state that I am in here. It says that 21-year-old builds charter school for young black boys in Georgia. And this is a nationwide story that I got from Black News. It says that King Randall, a 21-year-old who founded a youth organization called the X for Boys, is opening up a new school in Albany, Georgia called the New Life Preparatory School for boys that aims to help more young black boys in the community reach their full potential. Mm, reach their full potential. And also, not only that, I'm going to get into other successful stories. The 2 years ago, Randall was just 19 years old when he started the X for Boys, which provide a safe space for teenage boys aged 11 to 17. The organization has since hosted different workshops on skills such as welding, automotive repair, construction, as well as cooking. They also organized field trips in a book club, which significantly improved the ability of some children who didn't know how to read to an 86% reading comprehension rate. So giving them a space where they're around a lot of other young men and around the other men trying to mold you and train you. I had kids come find me at my house and come knocked and asked to join the X for Boys. I had kids message me on Instagram, gang members, you name it, Brandon told WALB. He initially funded the organization's operation solely out of his pocket, but eventually he started raising money to fund more programs. Ever since he started the organization, he really wanted to establish in a school with the support of other people in the community and even nationwide. He is making that dream come to reality. The new Life Preparatory School for Boys, which will be located at the former Isabella School, will focus on teaching young men traditional academics, trade skills, as well as firearm training and the science of family and manhood. So shout out to this King Randall, who was at that time only just 19 years old, is now 21 years old in his preparatorial school, um, needing much support from the Black community. Okay. So also we had also other announcements and other great news about Black success. We have a 23-year-old who becomes the youngest African American to be certified as a Boeing 777 pilot. Okay, he is the youngest to become a pilot, and he is now certified with Boeing 77 pilot. His name is Malik Senegal, a 23-year-old from Mississippi, has made history as the youngest African American to be certified as Boeing 777 pilot in the world. He himself did not initially realize just how significant his accomplishments are or is. Malik said that he found out about the record-breaking news only when a representative from Boeing contacted him to inform him about it. The 777, one of the airplanes that people usually don't touch until they're around their 40s or 50s, or they've been at the airline for a very long time, he told WXXV. And I came down with the opportunity where a scholarship opportunity where I was able to get into the airplane. See, I was just talking about this to my younger brother earlier, that he was getting into also getting his pilot licenses. And I wanted to also talk about that I was interested in flying as well. Getting, certified to be a pilot. Need more Black men and women into trying to do being a pilot, learning how to basically get into aircraft so that we can have enough numbers of Black people flying airplanes. That's very important. Okay, now that we know that white people, they're just flying off the earth everywhere, so you won't have enough white people to even be pilots. So we need to start training for a lot of stuff like that. Also, a sister is being criticized by a bunch of white folks because she basically launched a program called Black Male Genius Program. And this is going viral, and a lot of white people are angry at it. She said, meet La Melody, I hope I said her name that right, Asata Moore. That's La Melody Asata Moore, a former educator and high school principal who has launched the Black Math Genius BMG program to address the dismal decimal mathematics proficiency among Black students that continues to plague this country. It was never intended to be a threat to white people. Every time black folks do something by themselves, it's a threat to white folks. Okay, that's what we're going to be talking about a little bit tonight here on our Lawyers Henderson podcast. And of course, you have been seeing me a while. You know, like I said, I just came back from Los Angeles, so we'll get into that a little bit later. But to continue about what this sister's doing, a lot of white folks are upset because now she is calling this the Black Genius math program, which the Black Math Genius program could basically elevate black children into understanding their math a little bit more easier and better. See, this is the problem. When black people's children do not like math, they seldom leave school, or they fall behind. So what this sister's trying to do is she's trying to basically build a program. And as soon as she announced that, a lot of white people came out just upset about that, because they know, as Amos Wilson had taught us, they know that if black people learn math at a very great rate, then we can get we can get into some numbers, and we can get into some proficient work to be done. So math and science are one of the basic key importance in how a person is successful in life. You see, but it goes on to say that it was never intended to be a threat to white people. It was and will always be about black students and their success. Mhm. The program is based on an African-centered psychology that puts black students at the center of learning by teaching students the true origin of mathematics, Africa, by highlighting the many contributions by black people to STEM fields, and by building the mathematical confidence of black students by showing them what's possible. Further, the program takes a holistic and advanced approach to learning. Students learning to compute large numbers in their head quickly. They learn how to program in Python. They are exposing to physics and calculus. Lastly, the program is application based. It is important to understand integers in both banking and golfing. To understand molecular arithmetic, it's important to understand cytocurrency, cryptocurrency, etc. So she's putting on a basic fundamental math program that is going to help black children to be proficient in this particular society. She basically found a niche that it was a need as a former principal. And a bunch of white folks was like, this is a threat. You see, every time we do something as a group, white people get upset about that. White parents are basically upset about it, and they're basically now trying to find ways to stop and put a hindrance. See, here's the thing about white people. White people know that if black people do things as a group, that is a threat to white supremacy. They hate for black folks to do things on their own. So shout out to that sister for staying firm on her goal to basically just go out and help, understand, or get black children to understand the basics of mathematics, the basics of integers, learning how to basically deal with cryptocurrency. You see, we need them to understand that at a very young age. You see, so we got to basically understand the truth. Now, one of the things I did want to talk about before we get into our subject is that a founder of the top black-owned watch brand announces first he raised $1 million. See, we got to keep stuff like that very quiet. The Benson Watch Company has now its first public raise of $1,070. So he raised $1 million, and he's bragging. He's not bragging about it, but he wanted to announce that on a Republic's private investment platform, which allowed community investors to get involved at the ground level. Just a few short years ago, founder and CEO Marcel Benson was sitting in a consulting job that he did not love. He was beginning to lose sight of his purpose in life. He thought that he had done things right by going to school and landing a good job. However, as he grew in his career, he was not fulfilled at all. He decided one day to abruptly leave his job and pursue his passion of full time. Marcel left because he felt like he didn't own his own time, and that the countless hours he was spending at work didn't yield an emotional return. The consultant decided that he would not only leave his job to grow his watch company, but use his story to inspire the masses to do the same. Okay? Since making the leap, he had inspired thousands around the country to do the same. Benson was recently named among the top black owned watch brands in the United States by the New York Times and ranked near the top 25 watch brands to know in Town and Country magazine. Mr. Benson was selected as a keynote speaker at a famous in Horgenta Trend factory in Mach- Germany, where he discussed crafted an authentic story and exclusion in the watch industry. Okay, so he's a black-owned watch company owner, CEO of this watch company owned company. But I'm kind of like very wary when black people announce that they have made their first $1 million. Not that you should be excited about, um, being successful and things of that nature. But the thing about it is you have to really watch out because the white supremacists do watch how black millionaires and black people move when it comes to money. Okay. It also goes in to say that invest in Benson's today for a little as $250. So what he has said was you can invest in his company for as little as $250. And so that was one of the stories that I wanted to put out just to give you the ideal of black people's success. Thumbs up, shouts out, hit that like, share, subscribe button. YouTube got us on a shallow ban. They got us on a shallow ban. They have not been telling people about our live feed. And basically, they have not been able to. We've been trying to, to get people to come over to basically talk with us on the chat. And ScrewTube has basically not allowed that information to get out. Your notifications are not getting out. So we basically know that ScrewTube have a problem with us and our channel. Okay. So shout out to that. So yeah, I came back from Los Angeles, tired, very tired, working on our the film that we're doing, Daviana Michaela. So I've been busy with that. But yeah, I had to come on live because, of course, you have been hearing from me for a while, and you thought that Lawyer Henderson was MIA. Yeah, but like I said, I had uh, a very good time, great time. I say great time in California. It was very, you know, I've been since I was young, so that been about when I was like 4 or 5. So, as an adult, one of my first time going to California, and since I was an adult, so that was a good experience. Another young lady, woman, I'll say woman I met, she was on her way to Puerto Rico, and I talked to at the airport on her way to Puerto Rico. So I thought that was very interesting. So, man, shouts out to her. So, what are we talking about today? We're talking about black leaders or black servants in the black community, and is it really okay to pocket watch them? Okay, your Tariq Nasheeds, your Dr. Umar Johnsons, your Black authorities, your Professor Black Truths, your Meechie X's, your uh, Vicky Dillards, all of your online, um, your online uh, black podcasters that give Black community their daily um, news about what's going on and what white supremacists is up to and things of that nature. So we're going to be talking about that today because Meechie X. Now I love Meechie X. You know, don't get me wrong. I was over into her channel, and then a lot of her people started trying to call me a troll or whatever. That's fine. But the only thing I don't like about her is she do cuss a lot. That she doesn't know how to basically, make her points without cursing. And that's probably something that you understand that Black people we do a lot. We in order to get our points across a lot, we do curse. And even you had your parents who curse out their children just to get their point across. I often say that cursing, when people curse, limited their abilities to basically use words that they are not really privy to, and so the cuss word basically takes on the meaning to make the point for them without using words that were expressed to people in a very appropriate way. So in other words, a person who curse, people believe or people have the idea of thinking that your vocabulary is limited. So like I said, I am not attacking Meechie X. I'm just saying the idea of her basically cursing a lot just to get her point across. And and she's always basically with a lot of stuff. She comes with a lot of criticism of Black men, which of course I have no problem with because that's what we're talking about today. If you're going to be, quote unquote, talking about how you're going to help the Black community, but yet we don't see anything progressing, then the Black community does have a responsibility and have a right to basically challenge what you're doing. It's not pocket watching when you're asking the Black community for funds, okay? There's a difference between the church. A lot of people say, well, nobody does not basically watch the church in a sense that when the pastor goes out and spend his money on Bentleys, and buy his wife $200,000 car, and then yet he is sleeping with all the women on the front row of the congregation. You understand? Now, there's a difference because, of course, as you know, the congregation knows that they are paying the preacher for service to get, the spiritual food that you go to church for, right? So you can pocket watch the pastor all you want. And even though I criticize pastors a great deal, when it comes to a person, individual work and job or his business, it's not necessarily pocket watching because the congregation, which is mostly his customers, know that they're giving the money to the pastor. Okay. But when you're doing something that is basically for the group as a whole, and you say, hey, Black folks, I want you to come to help me build up a institution. Now there's an issue. The Black community has a right to pocket watch when you basically sold us on the ideal that you're going to do something now that is supposed to basically be for the people, and yet you're collecting all the money. That is an issue. Okay. So that's what we're going to talk about. Is it important for Black leadership excuse me, or people who say that they're not black leaders, but they're black servants of black people. Almost the same thing. You see, when you're giving black people information, that's fine. When you're giving black people the ideal that, yeah, we're under global white supremacy. And under global white supremacy, we're dealing with all kinds of stuff. Okay? But what are we dealing with? Well, of course, we're dealing with white racism. We're dealing with institutionalized discrimination. We're dealing with white supremacists killing our people. We're coming up missing because of white KKK people or the police or whatever. Even if you're giving that information, that's fine because you're telling the black community the truth about what's going on and what white supremacists are up to. That's good. We like that. We want you to continue that. However, when you get the black people to invest in a institution, that's different. Okay? Now, I had no problem with Tariq Nasheed, and I have no problem with Dr. Umar Johnson. I have no problem with black authority. I have no problem with any other black person who is basically doing things for the race. I do have questions though, because what I like about Tone Talks and Yvette Cornell is that they stayed on the ideal that the wealth between black and white people are real huge. I mean, I don't even have enough on the screen there to tell you how much the wealth gap is huge between white wealth and black wealth. And we've been telling you, of course, in the black media, for those of us who are really sincere about our people, is that by 2053, black people will be broke as a group. Okay? Black people will be broke as a group. So, therefore, a lot of our women are going to have to really understand the ideal of marriage, that you can no longer talk this independent crap, that you can do bad by yourself. You're going to have to understand relationship, even in a sense of possibility of becoming a sister wife in marriages. Okay? Let's not throw out that ideal that we have to listen to white people and try to imitate them on everything, because black people do that, because black folks got white people European minds, like Dr. John Henry Clark taught us. Okay? But I want to start this video and come back to the question: is or are those people are calling themselves black leaders or black servants of the black community, are they really helping us to build? Or is they also a people who are basically pimping and profiting off of the black community? And is it important for us to pocket watch? And I want to start by listening to Meechie X as she attacks Tariq Nasheed on this. And we'll come back on this particular issue here.
Always come through whenever it's something that we need to come through for. So thank you. I told him I told him on the phone, I give you my word, brother, we gonna make it. We gonna make that 30,000. We gonna get there. I gave him my word for that, and so come hell or high water, I guess Meechie gonna have to make that happen because I done gave my word now. That's all right. I will make it happen. So thank y'all. I appreciate it, and Ozone appreciates it. His mother said thank you. She said something to me yesterday. I haven't spoken to her personally, but on Instagram on a post, she let me know how much she just thanked us for supporting her son. So his mother said thank you, and so thank y'all. They do appreciate it. And his babies do, and his wife do, and his baby mama, all of that good stuff, y'all. So thank y'all. So anyway, y'all do me a favor, like this video, share this video so this information can get to where it needs to be. But I want to say something real quick, and I ain't gonna say it for too long. And I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna go over to Instagram, y'all. Y'all can come join me on Instagram if you want to chime in on the conversation and come in on the live, right? If you ain't following me on Instagram, get on Instagram now. Let's Meechie X. We're the same way as my channel. Come on over there, y'all, so y'all can hop on this live with me. Because this is where I'm going when I get off of here. And I want to talk about this. What the fuck is Tariq doing? Now, the last time I went in on Tariq, People was telling me I was a big ass hater. I was pocket watching. Why you mad at him? Because he out here making money because he co-opted ADOS. He really did. He really did. He did some white people bullshit to y'all. And what he did was he endorsed, I remember, how many of y'all remember this? He endorsed ADOS. He endorsed ADOS. And was like, yeah, this is dope. Then as soon as he got everybody, kind of looking at him like he's a part of everything going on, then the motherfucker flipped the script. How many of y'all remember that? Then all of a sudden it was FBA, Foundation of Black Americans. Okay, so he flipped the script. He went and did a conference, called himself competing with that fucking thing that Puff Daddy did, right? And so he claims that's why he did it. But he threw ADOS under the bus. That's how white people co-opt shit. And then he brought all the attention to himself and was like, look, he started calling them agents, saying they wasn't doing nothing for the community. So you should look at me. So he had his little dumbass conference. I was at the conference, not in body, but in spirit. And I ain't gonna lie, my people did go up in there. And I watched the whole thing. I watched the whole conference live. I did. But I did not share with y'all what his content was because I'm not going to turn around and do that. I'm not going to put his conference out there because I'm not worried about keeping this man from making money because I know he already put that shit on a DVD and sold it to you motherfuckers. Y'all bought the shit for those of y'all couldn't make it to the conference. He going to sell you everything he can, right? So I didn't put out there, but what I did tell you is that he didn't come with shit. Now, a man that done co-opted ADOS's movement, when ADOS is about getting reparations for black people. Now, I don't know if you follow ADOS. Shout out to Yvette Carnell and Tone Talks, right? They making some real moves. They trying to get shit put on the ballot. They are trying to get us reparations. Tariq ain't done a fucking thing. He gave you motherfuckers a flag. Why do we need a foundational Black American if we have ADOS already? Somebody said ADOS is a joke. Well, Shaq, if FBA is your other choice, you a joke. That's what's really a joke. So here you come trying to compete. And he gave you motherfuckers a flag and told y'all that they was agents, and so many people listened to that shit. He didn't give y'all any solutions. And if you wasn't at the conference, you should tell the motherfucking truth. For somebody who co-opted a movement that's about reparations, this motherfucker's first speaker on the floor, including him in his old Pastor Plum suit that he had on, he told y'all that y'all was Native Americans.
Damn.
He said black people are indigenous to being here. And that we was always here and we wasn't slaves and we wasn't brought over. Wow. Let me tell you the problem with that, because Tariq's so smart. Or no, he's not really that smart. He just hopes you're that fucking dumb. Okay? So if Native Americans have already received reparations, and they have they not given Indians, the Native Americans, they've given them land. Mohegan Sun, that's a whole Indian reservation casino. You don't know that? They got their land. They don't pay no taxes on shit. You can't fuck with them on the reservation. Have y'all ever been to a reservation? Police can't even come into the reservation and do shit. They handle everything on their reservation. Nobody else has no rights. So how do you make an argument of reparations if you're telling me that we're part of the group that already got reparations? I just want y'all to let that sink in. But this is the motherfucker that we let co-opt and take over the movement that's supposed to be talking about foundational Black Americans. Kevin said you sound like an Asian. What do Asians sound like?
Yeah. Now I want to stop her right there. Again, it's true. I do like Yvette Carnell and Tone Talks. I think, like I said again, I think Yvette Carnell and Tone Talks, despite the fact she's married to a white girlfriend or wife or whatever, but they are putting things on the ballot, or they do basically come up with a great concept as to breaking down the household. Like I told you earlier, they break down a lot of stuff. They really do. And one of the things that Tone does is that he gives you the actual footage or a timeline and the actual wealth charts that really basically make sense to us on what we should be talking about. Okay, so she's right about ADOS. They did start this before Tariq, but we're going to go ahead and continue here and to get into other stuff that she's breaking down here. Like I said, her cursing is out of control, but hey.
What do an agent sound like? Please, Kevin Hall, what do an agent sound like? Kevin, would you like to come over to Instagram? See, because this is the thing that amazes me the most about you bitch ass men. See, because I go off on the sisters a lot. You think that I don't got no smoke for the brothers? As much as I love black men and I love black women, some of you punk ass men can get it too. I sound like an agent. Kevin Hall, you sound like a punk bitch. Because I bet you what you want to do is bring your ass over to my Instagram. Let me spell it for you.
Let me address this agent stuff right here again. Let me address this agent stuff. Listen, do not let a black person who is taking money from the black community, some black person who is got white people on their team, do not let them call you an agent. Do not let them call you an agent. Number one, you have the right to call out black people who are pimping the community. We're not saying that Tariq is pimping the community. We're not saying that Dr. Johnson is. We're not saying anybody. We have questions. The ideal is this, is that when you start asking the black community for money, you basically now set yourself in a situation where now you have to be scrutinized. And anybody who will ask you, just like when Dr. John Henry Clark, right after the Million Man March, he called out Farrakhan. He says, wait a minute, where has all of this money after the Million Man March have gone? You understand? You see, we have to understand certain types of things here. Let's be very clear. Let's be very clear. When you are asking the black community for money, you are basically held at a higher standard than you were as an individual person raising money. So there's a difference between Tariq doing his hidden color films as a film producer. That's his individual thing. I'm a filmmaker myself. That's my individual thing. But when you start talking about building institutions like a school, like you're doing a museum or anything having to do with as a collective, but you're the only one gathering the money, I have a problem with that. I have a problem with that. But let's continue here. We'll go deep into it. Hold on.
Because you're so dumb to put that comment in the comment section, because I don't know what the fuck an agent sound like, but that you might not know how to spell my name, even though you're on my page, my nigga. So let me tell you, it's MECHEEX. You can find me on Instagram. You can bring your ass over there like you shit talking motherfuckers ever.
I'm sorry, because I may have messed up her name too. So but I basically, like I said, you're right about this agent. Let's define what an agent is. An agent, okay, number one, is another name for somebody who is actually a person who is an informant. They have gotten caught by the FBI. They did so many crimes that now, in order for you to stay out of the penitentiary or the jail or whatever, or prison for the long time, what you do is you go and you make a deal with the FBI, you make a deal with the federal government, and you say, hey, I am going to basically help you co-opt certain types of organizations if you want me to. Okay, and I can do that for you, or they'll give you that so then that you'll stay out of prison or won't do enough time. You become like a CI, or you become an informant. Okay. There's no records that Meechie X is an agent. There's no records to show that people who have criticized Tariq Nasheed, Dr. Umar Johnson, there is no record of any of these people are agents. Okay. Now, do we have black people who? Okay, let's first begin here. When a black person criticizes a black person or man or woman who is doing something for the community, okay, they get labeled an agent by other people who are the supporters of that person. Okay, which other, and so that person can use literally, oh, you're an agent, oh, you're an agent. No, that's not what an agent is. An agent works with the FBI, works with the police, and they are informants. Okay, so we need to stop using this goddamn word. Now I'm cursing now. We need to stop using that because we have the right to call out these so-called black leaders. We have a right to call out these so-called black servants of black people. There's a difference. Dr. John Henry Clark says, I'm not a black leader. I am a servant of black people. There's a difference. Okay. So what Meechie X is saying is that she's basically saying that Tariq has basically pimped the black community. Okay. And since then, at first, he told you what he was doing. When a person learns about things that he told you up front what he's doing, then he's not pimping you because now you're knowing what you're getting. But when you start talking about building institutions for black people, oh, now you're pimping them, okay? Because there's a difference. Because, okay, you're not really a threat to white supremacy because, like Dr. Umar Johnson, he wants to create a school, or Tariq now is talking about giving him $7 million to basically get a museum, right? That is pimping now, because what happened is that you're not setting up a board. See, here's the thing: when black people, they'll see these black conscious people, they will talk about what we need to do as black people, but notice every ideal that they come up with, they do not include other people. When you look at other black folks within their team, like Dee Tupman, shout out to her. I'm not criticizing the sister, but they're basically the ones who promotes these black men and women, but they basically are not a part of the team or whatever. When you have black folks who are not a part of the team, that's an issue. Okay, that's the reason why there's no threat to white supremacy. See, you're not a threat to white people just because you want to build institutions. Why? Because the white man, he built museums every day. That's no threat. Building a white people will let you be conscious as long as you're not interfering with their money at their jobs. Okay, so you're not a threat to them. When we're talking about being a threat to white supremacy, like Dr. Khalid Muhammad was, Amos Wilson, Malcolm X, John Henry Clark, he was a threat to them, but he was not listened to by black people. It was only at the end when he started to become taken, um, you know, when people start to listen to him more over. So, like Jesse Jackson, he's not a threat, but Jesse was moving towards the nationalist position. He was moving towards there. Farrakhan is not a threat as well. Farrakhan is a leader. You can co-op a leader, okay? And that's the reason why John Henry Clark called out Farrakhan, because he wanted to know, well, where's all the money? See, what we have to understand is white people put leadership on black folks to maintain control. So anytime that a leader is out there talking about, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, they do newspaper talking about the leader of something, you already know that that organization can be co-opted. Okay? Now, are they agents? No. Until they start to work with the government, yes, they become agents at that point. Okay? When you start to be controlled, or you get in contact with the government. Now, Tariq told y'all that he basically was contacted by the FBI. Okay, so the conversation is that he never told anybody, well, what the FBI told you. You understand? So that's how you know now that he basically got a situation. And one of the things that the FBI would tell you when they co-opt you, okay, and you probably find me dead somewhere because I know that I'm no agent. But one of the things that the FBI would tell you when they meet with you, let's give you an example. The FBI was put into play to destroy black people groups. They were put into play to destroy black people's progress. That's the reason why the FBI was created, to dismantle our civil rights organizations, to dismantle black people growing, like the food program. J. Edgar Hoover set that up to dismantle that. Okay, there was a real agent. Okay, that black dude that basically helped brought down the Panthers. He was a real agent to the FBI. He was a real agent to the police. This police officer who was working with to basically make sure that Malcolm X had a situation be brought down or was murdered. He was a real agent to the FBI. There are real FBI informants. You understand? Those are agents. But when somebody who just go online and just criticize a black person doing something, that he's not an agent. A black woman who said, I'm confused about what brothers are out here doing, she's no agent. She has questions that you should have answers for her on. I don't care about her, I do care about her cursing to get her point across, but she still have questions though. That does not make you an agent. I don't care if you're a foundational Black America. I don't care if you a black person from Haiti. I don't care if you're a black person from the Caribbean. When you have questions for a black person who is making money off the race, you got questions. Those questions are legitimate. You understand? Those questions are legitimate. It's no, you can basically, like Tariq, for instance, and Umar Johnson. I think both of them are in competition with each other. You got Umar Johnson, who knows that a school he is never might not complete because he is, and I have no problem with him thinking big, right? But let's start out small, like you do, in a sense, when you're building these types of institutions. Okay. Again, with Tariq, he's not starting out small. He wants to start out with something huge. Okay. I understand that a lot of times that we do have to think big, but still, yet reality is that black people don't have $7 million to give you. Period. Okay. So one person getting $7 million when we have a race that is about to basically be broke by year 2053, I have a problem with that. I do. I really have a problem with that because you don't have black people sitting there with you to create this, to say, well, who is going to take control of the money? That's not pocket watching. That is holding you responsible. Now, if you are doing something that says, okay, I'm going to create these films, Hidden Colors, the movie, what is the other film, the 1804 thing? Okay, I don't have no problem with you raising millions of dollars for that. Okay, but as soon as you start doing something that the race is going to be pivot to, mm-mm, mm-mm. I'm not giving you no $7 million. No, 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 no. See, this is that white people do this. White people like when black folks do things on an individual level. That because they can co-opt all of the things that you're doing, and they're going to go after that one person and destroy him and tell him. And this is going back to the meeting that he may have had with the FBI. Okay, you may have had a meeting with the FBI where the FBI set you down and say, hey, it's okay that you're asking the black community for money, okay? But when you start coming collectively as a group and y'all decide to do something, oh, you're now in a danger zone. You understand? That's the reason why Tariq and Umar Johnson, they have no problem being conscious, but they do things on an individual level. You can't do that, okay? That's what the white supremacists want you to do. That's the reason why white people are always, when it comes to black people as a group, they're always worried about that. But when you do something on an individual level, they're not worried about that because you're basically can be co-opted, okay? So you measure a black leader and you measure a black leader, as Amos Wilson taught us, based upon the overthrow of white supremacy. That's how you measure a black leader. Okay, and that's what he says. That's what my teacher Amos Wilson taught us. You see, you get a group of black folks out here right now, and all of them came on board and they said, yes, we're going to help Tariq with this museum, right? You're going to have this person. He's going to be the person who runs the money. He don't have to be necessarily called the treasurer. He's then this black person, he's going to be the person who's going to recruit other black people to talk about what the history is going to be. You see, it's almost seemed like that he's doing this museum and he's the one that is coming up with all the ideas. Okay, I have a problem with that. I really do. Just with Dr. Johnson, same thing. That's not pocket watching when you're talking about what you're doing for the black community. White people have no problem with black folks doing put institutions as long as it's not like a credit union, a bank, something that the black folks can benefit from, because they're going to be the first one to tell you, hey, you black folks, see, y'all are racist and blah, 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 blah. See, nobody have no problem with, like Dr. Claude Anderson says, nobody has no problem with when the Jews do this. Nobody have no problem with white folks doing it. Nobody has no problem with Hispanics do it. Nobody has a problem with the LGBT community do it. Nobody has no problem with other groups do it. But you Negroes, because y'all are good people in labor, you understand? Because y'all are people who are good in selling things. Because you Negroes are good and working in job, your women, they basically know how to get things done on the white man's job. So we're going to weaponize their ability to work. They have no problem with that. You're no ape. You're not a threat to them when your women are out here working. That's what I talked about in marriages. Okay, people ask me all the time, well, why I'm not married? Okay, but anytime that your woman is going to work and she's working with another man, you understand? And that's one thing that Tariq got going for him, right? His woman don't have to leave the house to basically, go and having to work for another man who is overworking her. So the back time that she comes back home, shit, she don't even want to have sex with you. You understand? Or she may watch one or two films with you or movies with you, and then now she said, I gotta go to bed. You understand why? Because she has to go to work tomorrow. That's not a marriage. It's not a marriage at all. A marriage is about you controlling what your relationship is about as a man. And I'm not talking about controlling her. I'm talking about controlling the relationship, whereas you are basically out there doing things. You don't have to go wait till she got off to work for both of y'all to go and hang out at some bar down the street. You understand? Somebody talk black to me. So Tariq is not giving other people the opportunity in the black community to basically move, to grow and to develop. It's all about him. It's all about Umar Johnson. We have to get off of that. Okay, black people have to be willing to support a variety of black people, not just one person. Okay, because now you're putting yourself in a situation where that person is getting all of the rewards, and that's not how it's supposed to be when you're talking about being a black servant for black folks, if that's what you're calling yourself instead of a black leader. Now let's go ahead and continue what Meechie X is talking about. Now I have my criticism of Meechie X as well, don't get me wrong. But here, let's go ahead and continue.
And you can click that motherfucking join my live, and I will bring your punk ass on. And you can tell me what the fuck you need to say to this agent's face. How about that? Stop sucking Tariq's dick. You don't add to the fact that this nigga already look like he gay.
Damn.
Okay? You did?
Okay. All right. See, and that's where Meechie X is wrong. I won't call our brother gay at all. Okay. I won't do that. I ain't gonna call another black man who I don't have no proof that he's gay. You know what I'm saying? That's something you will never hear me do because I don't want that happen. People calling me gay. You don't base nobody's gayness if because they basically are dressed and stuff like that. You have to look at the ideal that yes, you have feminine black men out here. We have been raised all day by our moms. Okay, so they basically not our moms, but white supremacy have a way to say, hey, don't hang around your daddy. Your daddy ain't shit. So go hang out with your mom. So we've been raised like that in the black community. And then all of a sudden it was like, wait a minute, why are y'all pushing our fathers away so that we can learn manhood? You understand? So when a man is seeing a woman all damn day, even with females, they have to basically also get that male energy from their fathers, or they're gonna grow up to have daddy issues. You understand? So this talked about gay. Now that's where she's wrong. Okay, but let's look at all the other points as well.
Now, again, this man ain't gave nobody shit. He ain't offered y'all nothing. He gave y'all flag. y'all want y'all to. The next time somebody asks about some reparations, I want you to take that flag and see if it get you some fucking reparations. How about that? Like I said, you know who sound like an agent? A motherfucker that told your dumb ass that they fighting for something that has to do with reparations, but then they turn around and start their conference off with telling you. You know who sound like an agent? A motherfucker that told your dumb ass that they fighting for something that has to do with reparations, but then they turn around and start their conference off with telling you that you're not a separate group. Do you understand that ADOS means something specifically? For anybody who don't get it, let me explain this to you. In order to ask for reparations, you have to be.
I'm glad she made that point. I'm glad she made that point. Another thing that white supremacy like to do when they're talking about to black leaders or black service of black people, they basically do talk. Like I said, John Henry Clark talked a lot about this about Farrakhan. Respectfully, you bring 1 million, 2 million black men to the Million Man March, okay? But you don't talk about them unity of Africa, whatever. You basically talking about manhood. That's that same go to that what's his name? Judge Joe Brown talking about manhood. That's what they were saying at his conference. That's what Adolf was talking about. Okay, here's the thing. As far as respectfully of manhood, I agree that black men should be understanding and learning about manhood. But when it comes to the white supremacists, like Nellie Fuller taught us, black men try to be men in this society and cannot be. And the reason why we talked about this before, why black men cannot be real men in this society, because the white supremacists, they basically wants to be an assistant to white supremacists. And you cannot be an assistant to the people who have you in bondage. There's a difference. That's a double standard. So when you basically are in bondage and you got white people, throwing you in jail, killing you, and you're being the assistant to them, now you have to understand why your women are out here out of control and disrespecting you. But anyway, let's go on.
Hey, everybody. I'm late.
Oh, man, I started over.
Looking at your comments, y'all being here bugging. I want y'all to know I love y'all.
Hold on. Like, share, and subscribe.
They take some pictures and tell you, bitch, you gonna do what we say.
We're going to thumbs up, like, share, subscribe. We're going to talk about what...
But you don't know how. I'm just saying. If
go.
I said some shit like that, I would be crazy. Let me give you what a delusion is. The definition of a delusion is seeing things not in the manner of reality that it is. If I tell you there is somebody in the corner talking to me, but there is nobody there, They're going to tell me that I'm having a hallucination. I'm seeing things, right? And delusions, you can see things, but you also think a certain way. So in your mind is deluded. You see your body as something that is not. You're telling yourself things that don't make no sense in your mind, and there's no rationale to it. That is delusional. Transgenders are delusional. And if you're a transgender and you're in the chat, I don't know if Monica in there. Monica, you always be in there scope and be mad. You cuss me out later. I don't give a fuck. When I get my new show, you can come on. We can talk about it and have the real tough conversations. The last time Monica called in, when I had a call-in show with Dr. Shauna, we had a really great conversation. Monica was really raw about how she felt. I was really raw with her back. But Monica wasn't mad, but YouTube took the video down because apparently you can't have conversations with transgenders that say they hate their father. And then I asked Monica, well, maybe that's why you don't want to be a man. Maybe it's through your trauma. See, nobody wants to talk about that a big portion of the community that's transgender, LGBTQ, a lot of them have trauma.
Right.
A big part of them are that way because of something they've been through in their life.
Remember when I told you?
A lot of them are gay because society.
Remember, that's where I told you where when I stopped in Culver City, California last week, right? And now they're forcing the city to make sure that the stores have 3 genders: male, female, transgender, on their bathroom walls. Remember I showed y'all that? 3 genders. See, this is the kind of thing that white power is doing so that they can destroy black people. They can find somebody who hate their father, somebody who can hate themselves, some black person who do not want to be who they are, and then put them out there and then let them say, well, we cannot be worrying about what black folks need, but what about what this transgender need? You see, it's causing, as Nelly Fuller taught us, confusion.
Is now telling you that you could go be gay. So when young girls, especially young black girls, get molested by a man and her family, or get raped by a man, guess what she does? Because she doesn't feel comfortable. So in her trauma, she runs, and this happens for any race, but I'm just speaking to black people. She can run over to a girl where she feels more comfortable with because she's young and she's growing up with girls and she feels more familiar. And because of her trauma, she feels awkward around guys because she was touched and treated wrong by a man. So she don't know how to be around.
All right, so now she's getting off the subject. Okay, but I want to point out the situation that what she said about Tariq. Now, when you, like I said, it's very important that when he met with the FBI, and when Tariq, I think he admitted that he had met with the FBI, or they visited his home. You see, I want to understand the conversation that he had with the FBI. Okay? And the reason why I want to understand that, because like I told y'all, the FBI give you pointers as to what you cannot do when you're a quote unquote black leader. Okay? The FBI will meet with you and they will say, listen, okay, you cannot try. The number one thing they tell you is that you cannot try to bring your people together as a group. Okay? Now, again, to respect of Tariq, he does say that we have to do things in groups, right? But he never, ever, ever operated in a group. It was Dr. Umar Johnson who called him out basically on the fact that he has white people working for him and doing his documentaries. Dr. Umar Johnson criticized Tariq basically for what he described as pimping the black community. Now, we're just going over basic things of criticism here. I'm not saying that I agree with either or. We're just going over here. What makes the conversation is very important when we talk about black people who are asking us for money. $7 million is what he wants for this museum. Umar Johnson wants $2 million for his school. He was able to raise, I think, $500,000, right? Or $1.5 million. Let's say $1.5 million. No, I'm sorry. He was able to raise $175, close to $200,000. I'm sorry. close to that amount, close to 200. Let's say close to $2,000, which is not bad, right? Hell, I wish somebody gave me $200,000. You know what I'm saying? And he went off and criticized black people for doing that. Okay. When Yvette Carnell called out Tariq Nasheed and wanting to be a celebrity, can she basically talk the same thing about Dr. Umar Johnson or the Black Authority or Professor Black Truth when they basically are, doing the same thing as well? We can look at Dr. Umar Johnson is telling us or speaking the truth about Black power, but you have to measure a Black leader based upon their institutions. Tariq says that we're going to have Dr. Umar Johnson. This is one of his first time talking about Amos Wilson since I basically have been listening to him, or I've been on. I now hear him talk about Amos Wilson. It almost like black people now is no longer afraid to speak about Amos Wilson. Remember, we had black folks in the 90s scared to talk about Amos Wilson. You understand? So now I spoke about Amos Wilson. I see a lot of other people speaking on Amos Wilson. Now, a lot of people are not really having no problem with speaking about Amos Wilson. We heard about Dr. John Henry Clark a lot, but we didn't really start giving Dr. John Henry Clark any praises until the man was nearly old and on his deathbed. You see, so black people are basically are no threat unless that you're listening to black folks. See, John Henry Clark was no threat to white society because a lot of black folks was not listening to him. You understand? So when Yvette Carnell talked about the fact that she criticized Tariq on his foundation, meeting at the conference where he did not provide his people with food or whatever, where at the end of the day, you know that Tariq is going to keep most of the money. And then on top of that, they say, hey, you're pocket watching again. No, when you're doing a conference and you're doing certain things, I have no problem with you doing a conference. But the idea about raising money that is supposed to always go back into the stage of organization of the building, that's what Amos Wilson taught us. You see, you measure your black leader and your black servants as they call themselves. Now, Tariq did say, I never call myself a black leader. That's good. I like that because it lets you know that, right, that you're doing or you're saying the same thing as Amos Wilson and John Henry Clark, but the ideal is that we're now having to call out the black servants, quote unquote. That's going to be an issue that you all thought that y'all were going to get away with, you and Umar Johnson, okay? When Dr. Umar Johnson talked about his school, okay? He understood that he has two baby moms. He understands that he was criticized because of that stripper. He understands all of the issues of him wanting to have a scandal in order to make his name big. He didn't, Amos Wilson never got upset with black people just because they didn't purchase his book. He was often pretty much very sketchy and edgy when to talk about the sales of his book, but he also taught us that the money that you make is going back into the stage of organization for the growth for the black community. That's how you know that none of these black people we're talking about today are really a threat to white people. Y'all are not putting anything back in the black community. A school, what's that going to do? A museum, what is that going to do? That's no threat to white folks. White people have enough money to build hundreds of museums. that is going to counter what you got to say. They're countering you right now on YouTube. So just because you got like one spot or one school where black children, because as Amos Wilson taught us, hell, black folks who have Afrocentric minds, but the hell, they're going to still be there working with white people. You see, that's the reason then why when he died because he mentioned a credit union. Now you become a threat because you now involving black people and talking about uplifting the black race based upon financial institution. You measure your black leaders and your black servants based upon whether or not you're going to build something for the people as a whole, not as individuals. That's one thing that Amos Wilson taught us. It's not about individual people. It is about the people themselves. Anytime that you do something individually and you raise money, well, that's fine. That's on you. But when you start to basically tell the group, oh, this is for black folks, and then you're the only one collecting the money, nah, I got a problem with that. I got a problem with that. I don't care about being an agent. I got a problem with that. The FBI never came to my door. They asked me, they never came to my house. Well, not yet. Okay? The feds know who I am. They never came to my house. Okay? At least not yet. They might. But when Tariq got the responsibility of hundreds of thousands of black folks and saying that 600 people, we can change the black community, okay, well, why have you not brought us together? See, that's a valid question that Meechie X can present to him. Okay? The fallout, do you think Tariq Nasheed and Umar Johnson are both in competition? Because, see, the fallout between the two is one trying to build a museum, one trying to build a school. Here's the issue here. And we have to understand, and I'm going to give credit to Empire, even though I like these newspapers, that these off-brand black people, talking about beef. But I want to point out certain things of what they said. EmpireBBK.com. I don't like to read this stuff because they basically, it's a lot of these foreign black folks who hate black people. But I do want to analyze the beef. Okay? I'll do that. Okay? And it says Tariq Nasheed and Umar Johnson's beef. Now, this is beforehand. I want to talk about that, not just to stir up the issues again, but to talk about certain things, to bring certain types of point of how you analyze a black servant of black people. Since they're not calling themselves a black leader, that's fine. Black servants also should be basically criticized too. Okay? That's where you get them at. The article goes on to say that Dr. Umar Johnson dragged Tariq Nasheed on Instagram Live. I think this is back in 2000 and I want to say, where's the date on this? Okay, this was December 30th, 2017. So this is a little ways. We're analyzing certain things that they said in the past, right? Dr. Umar Johnson dragged Tariq Nasheed on Instagram Live. Dr. Johnson decided to expose Nasheed because Nasheed has been insulting Dr. Johnson. Tariq is a reformed pimp, and Dr. Johnson called him out for releasing content that teaches people how to pimp. Nasheed's first book, The Art of Macking, was released in 2000 and teaches men how to get what they want from women. The Art of Macking. See, this is when, white people have no problem. They had no problem with Tariq when he was basically talking about pimping and talking about macking and stuff like that. They basically blew him up out of the waters. He had book deals, things of that nature. He was featured on Conan O'Brien. See, the white Jewish people, they love black folks to do that. Then he starts talking about his Hidden Colors films. Dr. Johnson says that he supported Tariq even after he found out that he used to be a pimp. He explains that that didn't approve of Nasheed's past, but he supported him because he's a changed man. Dr. Johnson can't forgive Nasheed for his Hidden Colors series. In 2011, Tariq released Hidden Colors, a documentary on the contributions of Africans in the original the and the original people in the white supremacy. Okay, the Dr. Johnson explains that Tariq brought his all-white crew to interview him for Hidden Colors too. Dr. Johnson insulted Nasheed for hiring white people to produce a black documentary on white supremacy. You see how Umar Johnson is just a hypocrite? I don't like to criticize our people, but Dr. Johnson just told us that he went not too long ago to get um, his school. Um, they had to do something about getting his school something like, the people who come in to expect your building. He used a white attorney for that, and the white attorney hired nothing but white people, white attorneys in his establishment. You see how we, you see how he just go back and forth. Anyway, Dr. Johnson calls Tariq out for plagiarism. He says that he interviewed him for more than 3 hours for Hidden Colors 3, yet Dr. Johnson only appears in the film for 20 minutes. He claims that Tariq stole the ideas he shared during the interview and didn't give him credit. Dr. Johnson says that Nasheed is successful because when you're listening to Tariq, you're listening to me. See, that all goes back to that arrogance that Dr. Umar Johnson. One of the reasons why people are moving away from Dr. Johnson is because of the arrogance that he has. And Amos Wilson, he didn't like to be called doctor. Dr. John Henry Clark, they didn't like to be called doctor. They thought that the word doctor was pretty much a bogus title to give black people in the community. So he didn't like to really be called a doctor. When you look at Dr. Johnson he basically think that his degrees give him the right to just be the ultimate person to analyze what the black community need, and that's not necessarily true. Okay, because the leaders that you're claiming that you're trying to follow did not specify that they liked the use of doctor. In fact, Dr. Amos Wilson, because he was so smart, he don't like the word doctor. He was like, man, I don't like this word. Don't call me Dr. Amos Wilson. So certain people call him Professor Amos Wilson, and he didn't really like that either. You see, you're analyzing your quote unquote black people today. You see, who call themselves not leaders, but black servants of black people. That's no difference. The same thing is going, you can be criticized as a black servant. You can also be criticized as a black leader. Okay? Dr. Johnson tells Tariq to release the footage of the doctor's Hidden Colors interview to prove that Tariq stole his theories. Dr. Johnson says he's Johnson's intellectual daddy and explains that if Tariq doesn't release the footage, he's guilty. Okay? Dr. Johnson says that Nasheed paid him $500 for Hidden Colors, $500 for Hidden Colors 2, and $500 for Hidden Colors 3. Tariq also donated $500 to Johnson's School Initiative. That's $2,000. And in 2014, Dr. Johnson told Tariq that he was going to London and needed some copies of Hidden Colors. Nasheed sold the films to Dr. Johnson for $10 each, the same price he sells them for on the street. Dr. Johnson brought 50 units. That's $500. Dr. Johnson says that Tariq also charged him $1,500 to show Hidden Colors in London. The $500 the doctor paid for the 50 units plus the 1,500 Nasheed charged to Dr. Johnson to show the film equals the $2,000 that Tariq gave Dr. Johnson for his contributions to Hidden Colors. Okay? Dr. Johnson says Tariq refused to send him Hidden Colors 3 times. He was scheduled to show the films at the event, the film at events. Nasheed claims that he couldn't send it because he needed to protect his product. Dr. Johnson also insulted Nasheed for making fun of black people's skin tones. He called Tariq a coon for calling dark people crispy. What do you think about Umar Johnson and Tariq Nasheed's beef? Share your thoughts in comment sections below. See, this is what I don't like about these immigrants that comes over here and they put up the beef between what Tariq described as foundational black Americans. Now, here's the thing, because I'm criticizing a lot of people, but we're doing it out of love. See, Farrakhan, Jesse Jackson, and Al Sharpton. Remember back then in the 1990s when we talked there about black leaders, and we can go on about Malcolm X and Elijah Muhammad and Martin Luther King Jr. When leaders, individual people are given monies to sell out the black community, then you basically have to analyze that so-called leadership. Okay? In the 90s, Amos Wilson did a great piece on black leadership, where he talked about the NAACP, where he talked about the Urban League, where he talked and gave us a real critical analysis of black leadership. Okay? As he points it out, you can support these people all day long. But if it's not for the people, and it's just only for you, in which white supremacy tells you you can't do nothing for the black community, it has to be you, that's how you know. That's how you measure that none of these people are about leadership for black folks. Because that's really how you measure it. You measure things based upon what Meechie X is describing when she's criticizing these men. Tone Talks and Yvette Carnell does speak on the black issues and issues as well. Them talking about putting on the ballot reparations is very important. You know, that's why Tone Talks is an attorney. That's why I rocks with him. I rocks with Yvette Carnell. Only thing about it is that, she's married to that white girl. I have a problem with that, because you can't talk about black people and then you're married to the opposite, And of course, like I said, we can always do business with white people. Okay, and that's important. You got to do business with white folks. Okay, they running things, right? I have no problem with that. A sister want to do business with a white person, fine, do that. But make sure that your money is basically spent in a sense that you're supporting black businesses, so that collectively you can see that by 2053, that we're going to be broke as a group. Okay? Whereas white people got you thinking, oh, you should do things as an individuals. See, here's the thing. My cousin Kendall just recently passed. Why? Because we have the mentality that when we as black people, we were used to staying in trailer homes and houses where there was probably 10 or 15 people living in one home. But see, we now are so selfish that we're doing things as individuals and not a group. And the white supremacists like that because they can co-opt one person. They can shoot and kill a black person. They don't need that individual black person ain't nothing. Okay? Just like, when that black dude, he criticized me after the rallies that we did down there for George Floyd, and I told him, "Oh, well, we were ones out there flipping over police cars," and he said, "Flipping over police cars, what's that's gonna do?" Okay, right? He called me out basically by saying, "That's nothing. You're not a threat to white supremacy just because you're jumping on squad cars." Right? I like black people like that because you have to hold them. We have to hold us responsible, especially when we're talking to the group, black people as a group. Now, Tariq Nasheed is right about one thing. All of us are not going to come together. That's true. You can have 600 black people doing something, and you can have the rest of the 39 million who will not probably participate. But if they see the activity as a group, then they will come on board. But you have to always look to see is who is getting the money. You are obligated to pocket watch when you're talking about doing something as a group. You understand? Or you're getting black people to invest in your ideal so you can run institutions, and then your institutions can be then only employ folks that basically is no threat to white supremacy. See, this is what we're talking about. You can call yourself a black servant all you want, which then the reason why black people are confused by these folks is because they're doing the same, they're calling themselves the same thing as Dr. John Henry Clark. Notice Dr. John Henry Clark has never told us he was a black leader. Okay? See, they call Malcolm X a black leader. They call Farrakhan a black leader. They call Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton. They call them black leaders. You know why? Because you can co-opt the individual person. So when Tariq had his 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 meeting with the FBI, you don't basically have to be a leader. You can be an individual businessman. Okay? That's you don't have to do that as long as you're doing what? Things on an individual level. You understand? That's why he's no threat because when you get the money, so for instance, let's say for instance you have a conference, okay? You pay out the black speakers. You're coming to speak, you got $1,000. This speaker, he gets $1,000. That speaker, he gets $1,000. But then you don't give nobody no food because the food is going to be too much. So you can't feed all these people because you're worried about what you're going to make at the end. See, the white folks, the white dude who running the conference hall, he is going to make sure he gets his money. You come to a conference, okay, and white people running a thing, he's getting his money. The white man's going to get his money, okay? So I don't criticize Tariq on trying to build a conference hall for us. But when it comes to the ideal that you're only pocketing the money behind closed doors, I have a problem with that. I'm with Meechie X. I don't think respectfully that he should be asking black people for $7 million when our institutions are or when not institutions, but when black people are fit to be broke by 2053. You understand? You shouldn't be asking for $7 million. And yes, I'm a foundational black American. My thing is that you see that's where the government got you. You know, you're not no threat. You're asking for $7 million, but at the same time, oh, you're doing a museum, and Umar Johnson, you're making a school. Oh, okay, I got no problem with that. The FBI ain't gonna knock on my door for that. Why? Because it's about you. You see, that's what they didn't want you to see. That's the reason why these black conscious black dudes are no threat because they're all about them. When you look at the fact that all of us are trying to get the bag, I don't care how conscious you are, whether you be the Black Authority, whether you be Professor Black Truth, whether you be myself, all of us want money. Okay? all of us want to be successful. Everybody, like Tupac said before, that black person or that black man, he didn't wake up one day and say, "Oh, I want to be a thug." He basically had to go out and do certain things, and through his thug knowledge and information, he was then co-opted by other people that made him a thug or turned his life into a gangbanger and robbing people because he wants to eat and his children got to eat the same way. You understand? He wants food just like this white man wants food. He wants food or want to be able to travel just like the white man is traveling all across the sea, all across the ocean, all across in other nations. Why is it that white people get an opportunity to travel all across the world, but I can't travel all across the world? I got to then stay on a job for a year and then wait till some goddamn stupid ass vacation to come up. You see, that's what that's the reason why like a lot of people are not going back to work now. They're sick and tired of going to these jobs, and the jobs are not basically allowing them to have certain types of enough time off. And then the pay, we're still at $7.25 per hour based upon your minimum wage, and that has not raised up to $15 an hour. You're forcing people to stay home because they're not being treated right. You understand? So when we talk there about individuality, see, white people have been always about individuality. Black people, when we grew up, we have never been about individuality. We have always been about our as a people as a whole. Going back to my cousin, he died because of my cousin kicking him out. The thing about that is that, listen, now you put yourself and he's in a homeless situation. Now he is out there in a dangerous situation. But he had shelter that his grandma left him, or his mother or whatever, his grandma left him. But now he's kicked out of his own shelter. See, I have a problem with that because we did not do that as black people back in the day. Back in the day, we basically looked out for each other. Back in the day, we basically slept in, you know, three or four people to the rooms. We were doing what Mexicans are doing today, is doing right now, sleeping in one trailer house with 50 people. We did that back in the day. So what happened to us that we become so arrogant and so selfish that now we don't want to take in our brother, we don't want to take in our sister, that we learn now this role of white people being selfish, and then that comes into play, and then now all of a sudden we're kicking out our family members. You see, you judge your family members. See, my family members know that I don't talk to them. Why? Because if I was basically homeless, how long can I go and stay with them? For a week? For a month? No. They're going to try to say, hey, you need to go find somewhere else to stay. Your friends, you got to just find somewhere else to stay. You see, you judge people based upon if they're willing to take you in. That's the reason why I don't give a damn about what friends, family, people say about me. I happen to take care of myself because I know that if I got into the predicament where I'm homeless, I might end up like my cousin having nowhere to go. You see, and that's the reason then why I can barely go to your birthday party. I can barely come to your reunions. I can barely do this and barely do that because you've got to stay on your own P's and Q's. You see, not to get off the subject here. So the ideal, and we're going to wrap up here, is we're talking about when we have to criticize black servants of black people. and allowing folks to say that you're just an agent, you're just an agent, so that we can basically, so these people who are basically not been wanting to call out, they can go about doing their own thing and pimping the Black community. We have to call them out. They have to always, there's a, see, in white society, the police and people who work in government, they are held at a higher standard. Okay? In the Black community, Black servants and so-called Black leaders are held at a higher standard. That's the reason why that word agent cannot basically work all the time. Certain types of Black people who are calling themselves servants, they are held at a higher standard because we have to say, wait a minute, at one point, we allowed you to make money off your this particular situation. We allowed you to make money off of that particular situation, and then we see that you basically become successful. You stay in a white neighborhood. Okay, now Negro, wait a minute now. You're asking for $7 million. Whoa, wait a minute now. Now I gotta start pocket watching. Why? Because who is the Black people on the group that is helping into where the 7 million is going? You see, we have to start looking at that, because now I'm thinking you're in competition with Dr. Umar Johnson when you do this. Okay? Because remember, Dr. Umar Johnson asked for $2 million. He didn't get the $2 million. But if Tariq raised at least $1 million, I'm not going to be upset that the brother did that. But the problem is that, man, we got to start holding you accountable now. We have to start. Here's the why. Here's the reason why we start holding him accountable. Because every time he does a crowdfunding, and then when you look at the crowdfunding, white people are investing in those crowdfundings. See, white people would not be investing in your crowdfunding if you brought a group of Black people, setting them all at the table and say, this is us, and we're going to build a Black credit union. And white people are like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, hell no. You're supposed to be doing stuff individually, not as a group. Now you got to start looking at that. Okay? I was for the brother of doing his hidden color films, but now with this museum, I'm sorry. I'm upset. Call me an agent, call me a coon. I'm mad now. I'm upset because now that's a personification of pimping the Black community. I'm upset because just like Umar Johnson, when we criticize Umar Johnson, remember the criticism is where all the money is going. That's the criticism. Black people have the right to criticize other Black people. It's true that we don't pocket watch the pastors, but at least the congregation knows what they're getting from the pastors. The pastors, all they know, listen, I'm getting money every weekend because I'm giving out spiritual food. Okay? You might say, well, that's pimping. No, but the congregation, his customers, know what they're getting. They're getting a service every Sunday. That's different, though, when you're setting up institutions. Okay? A church can be an institution, but we already know who's the leader of the church, right? But when you're starting to raise money and you're going to say, well, this museum, $7 million. Wait a minute now. No, because see, here's the thing. You're getting money from the back end. That's the problem. You're getting money from the back end. See, I wouldn't have no problem if you wasn't getting money from the back end. Same thing with Umar Johnson. You're getting money from the back end. I have a problem with that because you advertised it as a group. You understand? That's where Meechie X is right. Okay? Despite all her cursing people out and all that stuff and saying F you and stuff, she's right based upon the fact that now you're doing it as a group. You understand? See, white people don't have no problem with that. That's probably why when Tariq, when you met with the FBI, they said you can do something individually, but you can't do it as a group. Why not? Because as white supremacists, we got to keep your people down, so you can't do anything as a group. That's the reason why, as a group, black people is not going to get nowhere. But black people will get a lot of things done as a group, but as individual, black people are not going to get nowhere. Let me rephrase it like that. Now you have to start analyzing your so-called black leaders and black servants, right? Because the black servants thought that they're going to be able to get away with taking money from the black community without real critical analysis of what they're doing to other people in black intellectual society. See, the thing about it is that it's just like the FBI. They're supposed to basically make sure that other federal agents don't do any crime within the organization, or what you call these people, what you call it, it's gonna come to me, the people who does the witness protection program and all that stuff. The marshals, right? The U.S. Marshals is supposed to go after the FBI. The FBI, I think, can go after the U.S. Marshals, right? If you do a crime, you're supposed to basically, the people in the organization is supposed to basically say, wait a minute, you're doing wrong over here. So that FBI agent literally, by law, is supposed to, even though they have their little brotherhood and they don't, they're supposed to go immediately when they see the other FBI agent doing crime, supposed to put handcuffs on him. Or the U.S. Marshal is supposed to come and pick that FBI agent up. You understand? But see, that's the same thing in black society. When we see a black person off code, even if they're in the black conscious community, the other black conscious people is literally supposed to be over there like, wait a minute now, what you're doing is not right. See, that's what Meechie X does. Meechie X is a female who just happens to be a light-skinned female, and she's looking over there and she said, wait a minute, some of us in the black intellectual society, we're not doing right by black people. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm supposed to go over there and put handcuffs on you because you're basically selling out the black community. Same thing. In black intellectual society, you don't allow people just to call you a coon and call you an agent just because you're criticizing somebody in black intellectual society. Okay? Because black intellectual society, we're just like the Marshals. We're looking at we're looking at other black people in that intellectual society to say, wait a minute, you're making all that money over there. How is the black community benefiting from that? You understand? And that's the reason why Meechie X is not an agent. She has a right to call out black men and black women who are not basically focusing on black people as a whole. Okay? That's the reason why, she criticized me before. That's good. People in her little comment thing, I think they called me out. Oh, lawyer, you're an agent. No, I'm just saying that, hey, wait a minute now. You're talking about this brother, you're talking about that brother, you're talking about Grandmaster J. Okay? So we're looking at Grandmaster J. Is he doing the same thing? He's doing the same thing that Tariq and Dr. Umar Johnson is doing. Same thing. Co-opted situation, co-opted leadership. That's the problem that we had in the 90s. Co-op leadership has always been about the situation because a lot of black people are not really serious about being liberated. Black people think that, we're going to stay under white supremacy and it's going to be good for all of us But we may just show out because we might tell White Daddy off and get mad at White Daddy and decide that we're going to leave the plantation. And then White Daddy say, "Well, we'll give you niggers some money. We'll do this. We'll do that." And you sure, White Daddy, that you're not going to call me a nigger again? No, nigga. I mean, no, black person. I'm going to be good to you. I'm going to give you a good job. I'm going to give you a PPP loan. I'm going to do everything right by you. All right, now I'll come back to the plantation. You see, you don't think that the Black Intellectual Society play the same game? you know, you know. So that's the reason. Then, just like the marshals, is supposed to then basically make sure that the FBI is not doing any crimes. We in Black Intellectual Society is supposed to make sure that people like Tariq and Umar Johnson, Judge Joe Brown, and Professor True, Black Authority, we are supposed to make sure, Vicky, what's her name? Vicky Dillard, we're supposed to make sure, wait a minute, why on an individual level, you have a right to be a musician, or you have a right to even be a pimp. But you can't be basically utilizing the Black community because now we're looking at, wait a minute, you're making all these sales from Hidden Colors. Where's the money going back into the stage of reorganization? That's what Amos Wilson, that's why he was a threat for. Dr. Khalid Muhammad wanted to basically overthrow the government, and he was so in love with his people, he became a threat. Okay, white people really didn't buy into what Dr. King was saying when he had a dream that white people and black people would be holding hands. He became a threat. White people like, how dare this nigger talk about little white girls going to school with little black boys? We don't like that. That's how he became a threat. Malcolm X became a threat because Malcolm was getting a lot of attention. Okay, that the people in the nation was upset about. Okay, why would he get why would he get a lot of attention? Because he was the one who was really telling white supremacists really what he felt. See, white people have a problem with you basically telling them how you feel. Okay, I lost a lot of jobs by telling a white man how I feel. Understand? So you have to basically worry about people who are in the Black conscious community who basically is being arrogant. They're all about themselves, and then they're going to try to make us feel bad just because we're not supporting their conferences. No, you got to show us how is this money benefiting us to go back into the stage of organization. And if you can't tell us that, you're pimping the Black community. Okay? I don't care what you're talking about as far as being a pocket watcher or an agent. Call me an agent all day. As immediate when I say that this is not beneficial to the Black community, I can be agents all damn day, but that's the truth. You see what I'm saying? Why? It's because other Black people within the society, within Black intellectual society, we basically have to correct other Black conscious people. Bottom line. And if we're not allowed to do that, then we don't have a real movement. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out. And of course, they've been, the white supremacists who run YouTube, they are hating the fact that we are able now to have an individual mind. And they don't want us to have that. They want us to keep on looking at the white media live, talking, and they're going to bring on this Black person and bring on that Black person. Oh, yeah, before I go, someone asked me, what do you think about Van Jones getting $100 million from Jeff Bezos, who recently just launched a successful aircraft? I think they're going back on the moon or whatever. So, but Van Jones getting this $100 million. White people don't give you $100 million unless you got so many things that is against you. If you basically, because Van Jones, he was crying everywhere on CNN and in places and stuff. So he was basically given $100 million. You see, Again, going back to that individual thing. Why would Jeff Bezos give this man, Van Jones, $100 million? Why would he do that? Right. Because they know that they got enough on Van Jones. They got enough scandal on him. They got basically Van Jones probably likes a lot of these white girls. And Van Jones is going to basically use this $100 million that's going to not help the black community, but help us to to help to distort the message in the black community of where we want to go as far as black people. You know what I'm saying? I think this is what we have to understand about black leadership. Hooray that we're getting money. Because most of the time we think that black people are not worthy of getting money. And that's not true. Black people deserve to get millions of dollars. That's not where we're going with that. But what I'm saying here is that we have to only pocket watch those individuals who say that they're doing things for the black community and not doing things for the black community. Okay? When you and building up institutions, that's for the black community. Okay? That's where we have to pocket watch you at. Okay? Again, all out of love, respect for our brothers and sisters here, whether it be Professor True, Black Authority, Dr. Johnson, Tariq Nasheed, Vicky Dillard, all these other conscious black women and men. You got to understand that other conscious black people have to correct you. Okay? Now, if you're doing something on an individual level, like I said, oh, that's no problem. Okay, white people came up to you. Hey, I want you to do something certain such a blah 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 this. Oh, you do? Okay, then. See, I have no problem with that because you're doing something on an individual level. But as soon as that white person say, I want you to help me to bring the black community together so we can go, no, 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 no. Now you become a problem. Okay? Now let it become an issue because what? It influences the black community to steer us the wrong way. Okay? And every time, as Malcolm taught us, every time somebody come up with something else or another plan, it's just another trap. You understand? But yeah, let me go ahead and talk about this before I leave out. Van Jones getting $100 million from Jeff Bezos. See, this is what I've been talking about. Okay, and I basically, I don't basically. He's a victim to white supremacy. So, shout out to this man getting $100 million. A black man getting money. I have no problem. Black women getting money. I have no problem with that. But watch out, Van Jones, because if you do something that the white supremacists don't like, they're going to take your money from you. Somebody is going to sue Van Jones down the road. Some white woman is going to accuse him of something. He's going to be destroyed immediately when he goes off topic. He started talking about what white people need to do. Now you're going to start seeing, like we see here in like our YouTube pages. They don't basically sponsor us. So what end up happening is that we get our YouTube videos taken down. We get our internet shut off for a day. Hey, I paid this bill. Where's my damn internet? But him getting that $100 million, I like that. Oh, I like that. But if he's married to a white woman, as Dr. Umar Johnson taught us, that money's going to go to that white woman after he died. So he's no threat. See, we have to understand something. White people have to do a lot of in order to give you $100 million, they have to do a lot of background on you to understand it. You're a safe Negro, just like Dr. Claude Anderson taught us. This is a safe Negro. I'll give him $100 million. He's no threat to white supremacy. And as a minute as you start saying something off code, then now he's a problem. And then on top of that, somewhere down the line, they created another situation where a black man gets sued black man is not doing something for the black community, a black man basically having some type of affair with a white woman, or a black man doing this, and now the news, when there's something really that is supposed to basically be important for the black community, we cannot talk about the real issues because they're focusing on Van Jones getting sexually harassing some white woman. You see what I'm saying? And that all goes to show you of what we're talking about when we talk there about the black community. See, I had no problem with Dr. Johnson laying down, sleeping with that stripper. You see what I'm saying? Him laying down, having sex with a stripper. Why? I know that they said that he lied about it, that he was saying that he was celibate or whatever. I had no problem with him laying down with that stripper, but just be truth about it. Just speak truth. Okay? I don't care about you laying down with no stripper, no prostitute or whatever, but just be real about it. You know what I'm saying? Be real. Don't try to build a scandal so you can get a lot of black folks talking about you when hell your two baby mamas at home is not satisfied with you. And I'm not saying that's his case. I'm just saying, just basically let's analyze these people who are coming in before us. Analyze me as well. I don't care about that. As soon as you get me on something, I'm gone. Okay? I'm not saying I'm gonna be a black leader or whatever. You see? But I want to just close out this. Now I'm going to go ahead and close out. I said that three or four times, but this time I'm out. Like I said, I had a great and marvelous time in LA. We reported live in LA, but join us next Thursday, where we're going to continue to talk. This is going to be a part 2 on this discussion, and I might be getting a lot of black folks upset. But that's fine. We have to deal with the issues, of course, even within the black community. Thank you for listening.